The pen felt heavier than it should have. Black lacquer, gold nib, my name engraved along the side like a quiet threat. Across the table, my children sat shoulder to shoulder, perfect posture, polite smiles. They looked rehearsed, as if grief had been something they'd practiced in front of a mirror until it stopped showing. "Once you sign," their lawyer said, voice smooth, "the transfer is immediate." I nodded. The room smelled like lemon polish and old money. The windows behind them framed the city my wife had built her empire over. Glass towers, steel veins. She used to say ownership was an illusion. I wondered if she'd known this moment was coming. My lawyer leaned toward me, barely breathing the words, "You don't have to do this." I did. I lowered the pen. That's when I noticed it. A thin folder tucked under the opposing counsel's arm. Gray, unmarked, something he hadn't brought out yet, something he didn't expect to need. My daughter's foot tapped once against the marble floor. Impatience, hunger. My son smiled wider. They thought I was broken. They thought grief had hollowed me out. They didn't know I'd already buried something else. When my wife died, the house went quiet in a way that felt staged, as if the walls were listening. Cancer, they said, fast, aggressive, no time. I believed it because belief was easier than suspicion. The kids arrived the next morning, not together, never together. Each came with a lawyer's card already printed, already warm from use. "We need to talk about the estate," my son said before sitting down. Not her, not Mom, the estate. My wife had been a CEO long before she was a mother, ruthless, brilliant, careful. She trusted contracts more than people, including, I realized too late, her own children. They spoke in turns, like shareholders at a meeting. Percentages, control, voting rights. They wanted everything. "You can stay in the house," my daughter offered, "for now." For now. I listened, nodded, said nothing. That night, alone in our bedroom, I opened her laptop, password unchanged, my birthday. I didn't look for secrets, I looked for patterns, emails deleted but not erased, calendar entries marked private, a burner phone hidden in the safe behind her shoes, and something worse, a series of wire transfers, offshore, monthly, always the same amount, always to a trust in my son's name. My chest didn't tighten, it went cold. Grief makes people sloppy. I let them think I was drowning in it. I cooked their favorite meals, asked about their childhood memories, apologized for things I hadn't done. I became small, agreeable, invisible. At night, I worked. Phone records told me my wife had been in constant contact with my daughter's lawyer months before her diagnosis, before she told me anything. I hired a private forensic accountant, quiet, expensive, efficient. The money trail widened, stock options shifted, board votes delayed, clauses activated that only applied in the event of spousal incapacity, not death, incapacity. I ordered a private autopsy review, not to challenge the cause, to examine the timing. The diagnosis had been real, the acceleration hadn't. Medication adjusted without my knowledge, dosages doubled. A mistake, the hospital said. One nurse, dead now, overdose. I didn't confront anyone. I watched my children argue over seating at the funeral, watched them correct people who called me the heir. I took a DNA test, not because I doubted my blood, because I doubted my wife's loyalty. The results came back in a plain envelope, 2 names, 0 matches. I invited my daughter to lunch. She arrived late, sat without apologizing. "I know," I said, placing the DNA report between us. She didn't touch it, didn't need to. Her eyes flickered, once, a crack. "She wanted a legacy," she whispered. "You were safe, predictable." I nodded. Later, I met my son in his office. Glass walls, no privacy. I asked him one question. "Did you know she was dying before I did?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. I left them with their lawyers, with their documents, with the belief that they had won. I instructed mine to step back, let it burn. At the final hearing, I signed everything, every asset, every share, every piece of the life I'd helped build. My children smiled like survivors. Their lawyer stood to conclude. Then the judge cleared her throat. "There is an addendum." The gray folder emerged. Their lawyer opened it, read once, twice, his face drained of color. The addendum triggered a dormant clause, one my wife had written herself, a fail-safe. In the event of fraudulent heirs, in the event of non-paternity, in the event of spousal exploitation during terminal illness, all assets transferred, temporarily, to the claimants, then seized, liquidated, donated. Every cent to foundations bearing my wife's name, none controlled by family. My children turned to me. I met their eyes. "I gave you everything," I said, "just like you asked. The house is empty now. I sold what wasn't already gone. I keep one thing, the pen, not as a reminder of loss, but of precision. My wife thought she could outmaneuver me, thought love made me weak. My children thought blood made them untouchable. They were wrong. I didn't win. I didn't need to. I simply stepped aside and let the truth do what it always does. It takes everything."